Assalamu alaikum. This is Pratusha Borwa, welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Initiative taken to build electric ambulance using domestic technology as government wants to take health service to people's doorstep. Prime Minister Tareq Rahman emphasizes tree plantation to build safe wall for new generation. Government takes steps to protect marginalized people from increasing electricity and fuel price, says Information and Broadcasting Minister. Information and Broadcasting Minister emphasizes creating technical framework to control fake news as it victimizes mass people. Regular mobile courts to be conducted to control Aedes mosquitoes, informs Health Minister. Benefits of citizens from projects should be evaluated alongside only initiating them, says LGRD Minister. IRGC retaliates three attacks in US bases in Kuwait and Bahrain following US strikes on Iran. And Bangladesh lose to India by 3-1 goals in SAF Women's Football Championship final at Goa in India. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. The government will ensure ambulance services for reaching primary health care at people's doorsteps. As part of this plan, initiatives have been taken to manufacture electric ambulances using indigenous technology. The decision was taken at a meeting held at the Prime Minister's office in the capital's Tejgaon area today, with Prime Minister Tareq Rahman in the chair. The work of building ambulances for this project will start initially in a selected upazila as a model. If successful, the initiative will help meet the country's ambulance demand and reduce dependence on imports. The government has a plan to provide the services in 3 tiers. To this end, plans have been discussed to build 3 types of ambulances, from village to upazila, from upazila to district, and from district to capital. The meeting was informed that if this government initiatives implemented, the country's dependence on imports to meet the demand for ambulances will be reduced and it will be possible to provide ambulances with modern facilities at a relatively low cost. At the same time, the meeting noted that the initiative will help improve the emergency patients' transport system. Experts informed the meeting that there are plans to add necessary medical equipment, oxygen support, and various emergency service facilities to the locally manufactured ambulances. The vehicles will be designed considering Bangladesh's geographical conditions and road network. Health and Family Welfare Minister Sardar Mohammad Shaukat Hussain Bokul, State Minister Dr. M.A. Mohit, Prime Minister's Special Assistant for Health Affairs S.M. Ziauddin Haidar, Prime Minister's Principal Secretary A.B.M. Abdul Sattar, Health Services Division Secretary Muhammad Kamruzaman Chaudhry, and Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology teachers Professor Muhammad Ehsan, Professor Ziaur Rahman, Muhammad Abdul Salam Akhund, and Jahangir Alam were present at the meeting, among others. Prime Minister Tareq Rahman has suggested planting trees in accordance with local environment conditions and soil characteristics. The Premier gave the advice while addressing officials at a meeting on tree plantation program at the Prime Minister's office in the capital's Tejgaon area today. The Prime Minister said that Soil characteristics vary across different regions of the country. Therefore, tree species should be selected based on the specific soil and environmental conditions of each area, the Premier added. Such an approach would increase the survival rate of trees and contribute positively to maintaining ecological balance, he said. Rahman noted that the impacts of climate change are becoming increasingly evident with noticeable changes in seasonal patterns. He said that regular rainfall used to occur in June, but the situation has changed considerably in recent years. He stressed that tree plantation should be given the highest priority to protect the environment, address the adverse effects of climate change, and ensure a safer planet for future generations. The meeting discussed various aspects of implementing the government's plan to plant 25 crore trees across the country over the next 5 years. Prime Minister Rahman is expected to formally launch the nationwide 5-year tree plantation program on June 14 at Dulhajara in Cox's Bazar. Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Abdul Awal Mintu, Prime Minister's Principal Secretary ABM Abdul Sattar, Environment, Forest and Climate Change Ministry Secretary Mohammad Raihan Kausar, Department of Environment Director General Dr. Mohammad Lutfur Rahman, and members of the 25 crore tree plantation program cell attended the meeting. Bangladesh and Turkey have agreed to form a joint committee at the ministerial level on defense and foreign affairs to strengthen bilateral relations. The decision was taken during a meeting between the Prime Minister Rahman and Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan at Prime Minister's office in the capital Stejgao area this afternoon. The meeting expressed the hope that both countries would work together in the areas of trade, investment, production and resolving the Rohingya crisis. At the beginning of the meeting, Prime Minister Rahman welcomed the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. The Prime Minister thanked the government of Turkey for its continued support to the people and government of Bangladesh and for supporting Bangladesh's candidate for the presidency of 81st session of the United Nations General Assembly (UNGA), Foreign Minister Dr. Kullur Rahman, State Minister Shama Ubaid Islam and Prime Minister's Advisor for Foreign Affairs Humayun Kabir were present at the meeting. Information and Broadcasting Minister Johiruddin Shapun has said the government has taken measures to protect marginalized people from the impact of increased electricity and fuel prices. He made the remarks this morning while speaking at a press briefing on power and energy at the Secretariat. Johiruddin Shapun said electricity prices have not been increased for most consumers. While speaking at the briefing, Prime Minister's Information Advisor Dr. Jahidur Rahman said the opposition is waging protest based on incorrect information. He also said the government will review whether power supply and load shedding in rural areas were properly managed during the Eid holidays. Zahidur Rahman accused the opposition of spreading misleading information on the issue. The press conference was informed that the government will still have to provide 41,000 crore taka in subsidies to the energy sector despite the latest price hike. Criticizing the energy policy of the previous Awami League government, the Information Minister said the current burden would have been lower if efforts to explore and extract domestic energy resources had continued instead of relying heavily on imports. He added that steps are underway to restore good governance in the energy sector by reducing the influence of oligarchs. Information and Broadcasting Minister Johiruddin Shapun has urged the country's ICT experts to quickly prepare and submit a draft of an effective national action plan to address cyber risks and ensure online safety. He made the call while addressing a roundtable discussion titled Combating Fake News in Bangladesh, Policy, Technology and Accountability, organized by Nationalist ICT Forum Institution of Engineers Bangladesh in the capital today. BNP's ICT Affairs Secretary A.K. Wahiduzzaman, former MP and Engineers Association of Bangladesh EAB convener Engineer Shahrin Aslam Tohin also spoke, among others. The event, moderated by senior leaders of the organization, was attended by leading ICT experts, researchers, and journalists from across the country. The minister said, making fake news through artificial intelligence and spreading those news from social media has emerged as one of the major strategic challenges. Cyber risks and digital hazards are creating serious threats to individuals, society, and the state, he added. Addressing ICT professionals, the minister said the current government is engaging experts in policymaking more than before to build a knowledge-based state, referring to global efforts to hold technology giants such as Meta platforms, Google and X Corp accountable and subject to regulation. Chopin said, mainstream media organizations invest significant effort in creating content, but digital platforms profit from using that content without compensation. Health and Family Welfare Minister Sardar Mohammad Shawkat Hussain has said that mobile courts will be conducted every 2 to 3 days to prevent dengue. He said that fines will be imposed on any institution where dengue mosquito larvae are found. The minister made these remarks while inaugurating a special dengue prevention campaign at Rabindra Sarobar in the capital's Dhanmondi. At the event, Dhaka South City Corporation Administrator Abdul Salam urged people to become more aware and careful in preventing dengue. LGRD Minister Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has said that taking up one project after another is not enough. Authorities must also assess how much city residents are actually benefiting from those projects. He stressed the importance of citizen opinions and planned initiatives to make Dhaka a more livable city. Mirza Fakhrul made the remarks while speaking at the launch of the Southern Window platform at a hotel in the capital. Dhaka South City Corporation initiated the platform. The new initiative will help facilitate direct engagement with citizens, encourage open discussion, and find practical solutions to various urban problems. It also aims to contribute to building a modern, livable, and humane city. Speaking at the event, educationalist Ainul Nishad warned that waterlogging in Dhaka could worsen in the coming years due to the impacts of climate change. He said effective preparations and proper management are needed from now on. Dhaka South City Corporation Administrator and other experts call for coordinated efforts to tackle waterlogging, mosquito menace, traffic congestion, and unplanned urbanization. A discussion meeting titled Independence of Bangladesh and Ziaur Rahman's Contribution, organized by the Hathajara Municipality Unit BNP and its affiliated organization, was held in Chattogram. State Minister for Land and Chittagong Hill Tracts Affairs, Barrister Mir Mohammad Hilal Uddin, was the chief guest at the meeting held at a local community center. The State Minister said Martyr President Ziaur Rahman started his journey towards fulfilling the desired dreams of the nation through the introduction of multi-party democracy and development in the country. Hathajara Municipality Unit BNP convener Muhammad Zakir Hussain presided over, while Dean of Department of Business Administration of University of Chittagong Professor Saliha Zahur, Chairman of the Department of Fisheries Professor Dr. Ashraful Azam Khan, Upazila Unit BNP convener Nur Muhammad, Member Secretary Giyash Uddin, and party leaders, among others, addressed the occasion. Now, international news. The United States has announced that it has intercepted multiple Iranian ballistic missiles and drones that will launch towards the Strait of Hormuz and Gulf as negotiations between the two sides stall. According to the U.S. Central Command CENTCOM, 7 ballistic missiles were fired toward Kuwait and Bahrain on Friday night, hours after CENTCOM shot down 4 Iranian attack drones that were launched towards the Strait of Hormuz. It added that 6 of the missiles were intercepted and the 7th did not reach its target. Meanwhile, U.S. forces targeted Iranian coastal surveillance Raater sites in Goruk on Kashmir Island. According to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC), its attack had targeted U.S. bases in the region in retaliation for U.S. strikes. It added that it fired at 4 tankers that were attempting to cross the all-but closed waterway. The U.S. and Iran have been participating in indirect talks to reach an interim to end the war. However, the two sides remain at odds. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's letter calling for an end to the war is not meaningful. Earlier, President Zelensky sent an open letter to President Putin on Thursday proposing a direct meeting to discuss ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. In the letter, he urged Putin to hold face-to-face talks, stating that peace can only be restored through dialogue and negotiations. This was the first such letter Zelensky has sent to Putin since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. During the discussions, Zelensky called for a comprehensive ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. However, President Putin refused to meet and reiterated his position, saying that peace talks can only take place after a ceasefire is established. Speaking at Russia's annual economic forum in St. Petersburg on Friday, President Putin said that such a letter has no significance at this moment. In response to Putin's remarks, President Zelensky said Russia is once again choosing the path of war. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan has acknowledged that 2 ships in the Sea of Azov were targeted in a Ukrainian drone attack. Azerbaijan's foreign ministers confirmed the 5 Azerbaijani citizens were killed in the attack. At least 49 passengers died of thirst in the scorching heat of the Sahara Desert and the severe shortage of water. The tragic incident occurred after a vehicle breakdown in a remote desert area in northern Niger, a country in Africa. The victims became stranded in the desert about 80 kilometers west of Sakamaka, the main border crossing point between Niger and Algeria. The information was confirmed in an official statement issued by the Office of Governor of Niger's Agadez region.